Hi there, Z here. So in the previous videos, we looked at two other options where you try to protect and share your Excel spreadsheet tool. One was using native Excel protection and email, another one was using more advanced tools, but ultimately the process of sharing the files still very much relied on either manual emailing or maybe some sort of simple file storage. So what we're going to be looking at is a bit of an extension of that idea where you are trying to use your storage system a bit more cleverly. And there are a number of these out in the market. So there's a Google Drive, there's Dropbox, but for the purpose of this demonstration, we'll be looking at the OneDrive because it's the native Microsoft application, and how we can make use of some of the functionality there to do more or less the same thing. The first step is say you've got a tool and you've protected it in terms of hiding the sheet. So in this one, this is not protected, but say that you've protected it and you've locked it all up. How you can share it online is if you click share, there is the email option as an attachment, which is really not what you want to do when if you have to send this out at scale. Another way is sharing it using the cloud. So if you save to a cloud, typically you'd have a OneDrive of some sort that allows you to share that content. So I'm going to flick over quickly to OneDrive, and it looks a bit like this. So it's the same file. And if you click on the file, what you'll see is it's looks very much like Excel, except it's online. So this is the online version of Excel, and it works more or less in the same way. So if you change any of the metrics, then the charts will change accordingly. And you can also share the file. If you were to click click share, you can click anyone with a link, you can specify who you want to share it with, you can even set things like expiration dates. I don't have that feature because I didn't go premium. You can even set a password to protect the spreadsheet. If you don't want to pay for that service, you can also just use the basic requirements here. So let me give you an example. So these are the same files that you saw in the earlier video, and this is an example of a password protected one. So in this one, the file was protected in desktop Excel, and you notice that it doesn't open either. So you all the passwords that you've put in will work in Excel online as well. So example for this one, it doesn't allow me to open it because I didn't put in the password. So even if you share the file without OneDrive's native password feature, the person you're sharing it with can't get hold of it unless they have that other password. So so far so good. Maybe I'll talk a bit around some of the constraints though. So this file, I have it open here, is a shared file that's similar to the one you just saw, and it works in the same way. So we've protected the sheet. You can't open it, and you also can't unhide the hidden tabs. But one drawback with sharing a file is that it is a common file. Now, this works great if you are intending to have many people collaborate on a common set of information. But for what we want, which is sort of like a calculator app where each person runs their own calculator, and they may have numbers that they don't want other people to see. It doesn't work so well. So I'm signed in, but you can see that there is a guest that is editing cell E3. So let me just show you what happens. So I've opened up Microsoft Edge, which is, you can see that this is a different person. So if I start typing stuff in, oh, it's protected. So let me just do it here. So I'll change 10 to 20, and I will go back to the other account. You notice that the guest has changed this number to 20. So This is clearly not a very practical solution if you want to share a tool, because what you end up having to do is you have to make multiple copies of the same file, one for each person. It's probably doable, maybe if you have like 10, 20 different copies of the file, but definitely not sustainable if you're planning to scale up to like hundreds of this sort of similar files. So that's one drawback. Another problem is Microsoft Excel Online does not support macros. I'm just going to open one of the files that I covered in the previous video that does have a macro. So if I start trying to click the macro buttons, I think it doesn't work. So give it a second to load up. Nothing's happening. And that's because it only works if you have the file open on a desktop version. So the user will have to download the file and open it on their desktop to get the macros working. In this one, the macros don't do anything, and the file is still not activated. So that's another drawback. It's worth mentioning that there may be a solution to this problem. So you can actually create Microsoft Excel Online custom add-ins, and you can, oh, this is the desktop version, so let's go down to the online. Yeah, it's the online version. So if you click, I need to exit, click Insert, Office Add-ins, you can actually get the same or similar functionality if you make the macro into an add-in that you put into the App Store or Microsoft's App Source Store, but it's not really straightforward. So there's some Stack Overflow posts on this topic. I'll put the link in the Medium article. And also, it's if you're planning to make the add-in sort of private, where you don't want to distribute it widely, it's even worse, because in order to use it, they need to sideload the add-in from a local network share, and that requires your users to have some basic programming skills in order to do that. So not very practical if you are planning to sort of do this with people external to your organization. I understand that Microsoft has some sort of solution if you're in a enterprise and you're sharing the add-in internally, but I haven't explored that. So there is a workaround, but it's not a very practical workaround if you want to get macros working. Now, the last drawback is that the controls within Excel Online are not fine-grained enough. Sorry, I should say not Excel Online, but the OneDrive is not fine-grained enough to control how people use it, because what would have been a really nice feature is to set it up so that people can view a file and they can change a cell in the online version, but not download it. That would be kind of a nifty feature. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be an option, because the moment you share a file, it's all or nothing. So if someone has a share link and you authorize them, even if you put in a password, the moment they have access to the file, they can download the file. So this sort of makes it somewhat less secure, especially if you want to avoid people trying to be clever and cracking passwords or taking a look at the hidden stuff in your spreadsheet, because manipulating it on desktop is a lot easier than doing it in Excel Online. All said and done though, there are some limitations to using this as a means of sharing files, but I guess at the end of the day, it is a free approach, because Microsoft gives you at least a basic OneDrive account. If you already have Excel, you probably already have access to OneDrive, and it's all a matter of what exactly you're trying to do. So there may be a solution.